The guitar plugin market is crowded. We have an overwhelming amount of sick guitar plugins, cab IR packs, amps, pedals and gear, anything you want basically, and more. I even asked you guys on Facebook if what in your opinion is missing from the current guitar market. And the majority of you mentioned that it's not yet another IR or an Ampsim, yet its application in the mix, the knowledge on how to apply these tools in the mix specifically to make them sound good in the end. So today, I'll give this to you. A free guitar processing chain in Reaper which sits well in your mix and sounds good with any amp or Ampsim accordingly. This consists of free plugins only and contains 90% of processing that you need, obviously just to taste. As you can hear, this chain resolves a lot of issues with the guitar. It, first of all, notches out the annoying resonances that make the guitar sound harsh. It allows the guitar to sit in the mix well and sound full and occupy the proper space in the mix. And it also gives a little bit of a modern touch, not fully modern because I'm not the modern metal specialist, but a little bit of modern metal touch by taming down that 3 to 5 annoying harsh K area, which allows the guitar to sit through the mix in a somewhat modern competitive way. So if you like this result, you can get it for free by clicking the link in the description, and I encourage you to do so if you are working in Reaper with heavy guitars. Cheers! You can apply this chain to any tuning that isn't too low. Maybe try experimenting with from standard to drop C. Hey, I'm Dr. Trubetskov, the mad scientist of metal, and I'm here to bring valuable information on metal production, recording and mixing for you guys. So, in order to not miss out, like and subscribe this video so that you can follow along and get this value for you and your mates. Let's go! In fact, I'm giving you not one but two guitar chains. One for your individual guitar tracks and another one for your guitar bus. The concept for this chain is the following. You load up your favorite Ampsim or an amp, you disable your cab block, and then you let this chain to take care of the rest. All you need to do is make sure that the output level of your amp matches to the input level of this compressor here, so that it doesn't take too much of gain reduction. Stick to maybe 1 to 1.5 decibels of gain reduction. And that's it. The individual guitar track chain consists of free impulse response loader, Net IR by STL Tones, and free impulse responses. Catharsis IRs by Ryan Harvey. These are great, and I made sure to combine the best of them for this preset for you. Then we got some EQ, really sophisticated one, and some compression. On the bus, we have more EQ, multi-band compression, Paltech for color, which is a free plugin by Ignite Amps as well. Highly recommended for this application, and this is where you can shape the sound a bit more towards your needs. Some saturation and a little bit of reverb. So as you can see, this is a sophisticated chain tailored exactly to fit the mix well, and you probably would only need to adjust it by maybe 10% to make sure it works with your instruments. Let's hear this chain in action. This chain sounds smooth, and it sounds as modern as I can get it, in a sense that the guitar is not sounding harsh. It also sounds quite full, and it gives enough space for the other instruments to sit in. You can experiment with amp parameters. And so the next thing I want to show you is how this chain behaves with different amp sims. So this one is amped roots with almost default parameters, and you can tailor and shape this to your needs. If you want the sound brighter, go for it. If you want it darker, go for it. Obviously, do not forget to switch off the cab. Let's try a different amp sim now. This one, Sigma, which is a free one as well. I never liked how it sounds. Let's see it in action now. And now I quite like it. So the beauty of this chain is that it takes away the annoying frequencies, the harsh resonances that you would inevitably encounter by using any IRs. It creates a smoother sounding tone, which you can shape around in the mix. And now this plugin sounds quite decent. Trying Clairvoyant now, which is not free, but it slaps. You can see how the character of the distortion is different. Clairvoyant gives a more spongy, tighter, sort of percussive tone. However, the overall positioning in the mix is retained. That's the beauty of this chain. In order to install this chain, all you have to do is unarchive the zip file that has been supplied and place it accordingly. In my case, as I'm using Mac, it is library, application support, Reaper, FX chains. And here you will have guitar track, Reaper effects chain, guitar bus, Reaper chain, and the IRs with the preset as well, which would be loaded accordingly. Then you go on your individual track, show chain, right click, FX chains, load chain, and you get guitar track here. Here it goes. And you do the same with the bus. You route these two into the bus, and you are good to go. Super straightforward. Just make sure that the impulses are correctly loaded. If not, just load the preset, just like this. And if not, locate these two files in this folder as well. And that should be good to go for you. And now let's see how this chain was designed in the first place and what it actually does. So, starting with just a single guitar track, band in the center. Let's just bypass all of that, slap the cap back on, and see how it sounds. I mean, this is not too bad. Compare it with this impulse response now. Now, this sounds fuller, more modern, in a sense that it has a bit of a top-end fizz, which is preferable for more modern tones, even though I'm not a complete expert. However, it starts to have some harsh resonances. In order to take this under control, you can use this sort of EQ. Let's listen with and without. Without. This is a significant difference and quite an important one. In particular, we took away 3 and 4K, additionally smoothened the 4K region, took the annoying 1.7 sort of whistle and cleaned up the low end as well, plus added some top end to open the tone up. This gives a smoother tone, which is more preferable and sits better in the mix. Then you can compress it with this compressor here. Let's see what that does. So this is bypass. Just sort of thickens up the tone and makes it a bit bigger. Looking for processing on the bass now. So there still is some whistle going on, which we can clean up further with this EQ. The infamous 3 to 4K area. And then you can use a multiband compressor to tame these chugs down. Just makes it tighter and nicer, and still it retains the low end, which you could otherwise filter away, but the guitar would have sounded thinner, so you don't want that. Then we have the Pultec. Let's see what this does. This is where you can come in and introduce tweaks. If your music requires brighter tone, you can add brightness here. If your music is sounding darker, you can attenuate as well. If you want more low end, go for it here. Just use this as a broad tone shaping tool and use it carefully, as little goes a long way here. Have a listen. This is almost too much. Sounds better, just make sure to introduce small tweaks. And finally, we have a little bit of saturation and reverb going on. I hope that you find this chain valuable and it gives you great results for your next mix. I'm here to help. Please hit me up with any concerns or comments that you may have. And until next time, rock on, cheers!